Good afternoon, everyone. This is Robin Carter with Robin's Creations here out of Flower Mound, Texas, and I have another video to share for some alternates with the paper pumpkin from May 2022 called Celebrating in Color. So I remember my first unboxing video, I said I'm going to have trouble with this kit. Well, I'm actually quite happy with some of the alternates that I've been able to do with this kit. So let's get started with these. So here's a preview of what I will be using. It's the U Golden card and the elements that go with it. So before I start on these, I want you to know that I do like to make some cards more of an avid type with the paper pumpkin using supplies that I have in my craft room and stuff out of the new catalog. So this is not just using components from the kit. I do add a few things in here and I will highlight those as we go along. So let me just get started by saying thank you to those who have subscribed to my channel, and if you are new to my channel, I would really appreciate if you would hit the subscribe button below. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, you can always send me a comment, or I do like your comments in general, just to let me know how you like these alternates. So the first one I did is I took this U card, the gold U that you're supposed to put this sweet sorbet piece over. And I liked the card so much just like it was. I didn't want to hide any of the gold elements. So this is what I did. So I did two different versions since we had two cards. So all I did was I used the new bundle. Let me get that for you so you can see. Called Happiness Abounds stamp set, and it does have coordinating dies, and it also has coordinating DSP, which is designer series paper, where the dies actually cut out the paper. But this one I actually stamped the flower. You get you right in the video there. And the leaves, I was going to use the in color for this, but I just thought it didn't give quite the feeling, for lack of a better word, that I liked. So I did substitute the granny apple green there, but this gives you a hint of what it would look like with the parakeet party. I keep wanting to call this lemon lime twist because it is very similar to that in color we had a while back. So that's all I did. I did use my blends to color the flower, the dark and the light, and I did add some Wink of Stella. I don't know if that shows up on the video. Now, I always like to show people how to use their previous stamps that they may have collected either through purchase or paper pumpkin. So what I did here was, and I thought I had that stamp set out, was, yes, I do. This stamp came from June of 2021, the Expressions in Color, and yes, that's in a plastic sleeve. And so I was looking for something to go with the U. And so I basically I stamped the whole thing, and then I fussy cut around that image to get just "You Are Amazing." So if you have this stamp set, that goes very well with this. If you didn't have this flower, you could actually use that flower or any other flowers you may have in your collection. So let me get on to this next flower that I use, and then I always put something on my envelope to give those a little interest. So that's that alternate. So the next one I used was the Poppy Mo, or let me find it so I say the right word. Here's the dies that went for that Happiness Abounds. Here they are. So these dies are called Poppy Moments. And they do coordinate with a stamp set, but what I like about these dies is you don't even need a stamp set. So what I did was I took the solid image here. Let me just pull this out so you can see it better. This solid stamp I cut in Sweet Sorbet, And then I cut another in vellum just to cover that up to give it a softer look. Now I thought about just doing the vellum colored with the sweet sorbet, but I went ahead and did the cardstock. And then I did this in white, put that over the top. And then the centerpiece here is in crushed curry. And then I did the leaves. Same thing with the granny apple green color. And so you see I have a little light and a darker leaf image here. So what I do on the solid leaf, so these two pieces make up the leaf. So after I cut the solid leaf in granny apple green, I took my blending brushes and went over it with that ink to give it just a little different color, a darker color. And then the detail of the leaf is just in the cardstock cut. So if you don't have this in your collection, I would highly consider getting it because, like I said, you don't even need a stamp set to go with it. You can create beautiful flowers with just the stamp set alone. And I'll highlight where these are in the catalog at the end of the video. So here is this one. I did use the coordinating stamp set on my envelope. And I hope you like these cards. So that uses the 2U cards there. So then we're left with the sweet sorbet piece. And this is what I came up with for it. So let me get my pieces ready. And this one I'm going to try to make with you. I think I have things prepared. So I love embossing folders, and I know I've mentioned that in a couple of my videos. And there are 2 new ones in the catalog that I'll highlight where you can find these in a moment. It's the Painted Posies 3D. I now always label them because there is no label of what they're named, and then it helps me remember if it's 3D so I know to do the right sandwich through my die cut and emboss machine. And this one is quatrefoil tile. And so the best way, of course this is in white. Let's see if you can see the detail of this one. It's a very detailed embossing folder, and it actually goes through the machine quite tight. So those are the 2 embossing folders I use. And then I have a label from the stitched rectangles, and it just fell on the floor. So I used this, the second largest of the longer rectangle dies. So that's what I use on it. Okay, so how I did this was I took a 2.5 by 4 1/16. I tried 4 inches and it just was a little short to cover the whole end to end. So that's why you have a 1/16 there, a very odd size. And this is a standard card layer that I usually do at 4 1/8 by 5 3/16, just to give a little of the white border, and then I don't have to worry about some hanging over. Okay, so I've already run this through the die cut machine. And when you run this through, I mean, the flowers obviously go this way, but you'll still want to run it through your die cut and emboss machine this way with the the fold going in first. So that's just a reminder that on these where the image goes mostly this way, you can still put your paper where you want it and run it through. And so I just lined this paper up where I would get a lot of the flowers. And then I took my sponge daubers and we're going to color. So that size that I gave you, 2.5, exactly covers up this negative space where the U goes. I guess you could leave your U in. I'd already punched mine out, and this covers that up anyway. So let me get my sponge daubers. And then I used the Parakeet Party and the Sweet Sorbet that I've made some spots for myself. All right. And so I always put a 1-inch square on the bottom and on the lid just so I can match them back up. And I have a sponge dauber for each one. I'm going to start with the flowers. So I just put a little bit of ink on it, and I very lightly go over the top of the flower. And when your ink gets a little lighter, you can pick it back up. And I like how the embossing folder, where it's the highest, it gives the darker color. A couple more flowers. And this was with the new in color Sweet Sorbet. See, that's a flower. That's a little flower. And I think that's the start of a flower right there. Okay, so I think that's all the flowers. All right, and then I'm going to pick up my Parakeet Party Dauber. And I haven't labeled this yet, but you can see on, well, I'm behind on labeling. I put a little label on the color so I know which one it is. You may just want one for each basic color, kind of like I do my blending brushes, but I have quite a few of these, so I was okay dedicating one to each one. And eventually they will, I'm sure, have to be replaced because the sponge will get old and start to peel. So then I just went in with the Parakeet Party and colored the green pieces. Now when you need to get into a little space, I just do it on the edge like that. Just what I'll do here. You might want to color this before you put it on. In case you mess up, you could always cut another one. And I'm assuming this is green, so we're going to make it green. Assume it's just like this. That could be a flower in the corner. Let me pick my Sweet Sorbet back up and we'll make that a flower. So that's how I colored this piece. So the next thing I did is I got my quatrefoil embossing folder and I get my Tombow liquid glue, which I put in this skinny bottle. And I just go around doing a few dots. I always do that to make sure it doesn't clog up the end. I get any on the end left. Oh, one trip to, not a trip, a tip to show you on the quatrefoil embossing folder. So when there's a pattern like this one's going to be kind of hard to see. First of all, they have this line here where you can get your paper square, your image, your layer, and then I look at the pattern in the folder. So I try to line my paper up where I get equal on both sides. And I think you can see that maybe better here with this done piece. So this one just ends and this one just ends and this pretty much goes right down the center. So that's a way to get your image to look, I don't know, square. I just think it gives a nice finish when it looks lined up like that. Okay, so then I just am going to put this on the card with dimensionals. And then I have a stitched rectangle, but if you happen to not have those dies, you could obviously just use a square. And this sentiment comes from one of my new favorite sentiment stamp sets in the catalog, which is the Go-To Greetings. And it has your 4 basic greetings of happy birthday, thinking of you, just a note, and thank you in 3 different fonts. So this is obviously the more scripted one. And then there's a more like a handwritten, and then a fancy smaller size here. So I really like this set and I can see using this a lot. So let me get my catalog and I can show you where these products are. So that uses these elements of the kit. And then I have this one yet to go. So I hope to come up with something of it quick. So anyway, let me put this away and get out my catalog, and I can show you where those things are. And then I'll give you a review of the ones we've done so far that are in my other videos. Okay, so this is the annual catalog that goes from May 2022 to April 23rd. It's the Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. So the go-to greetings, they're on page 26 of the catalog. And so those are there, and of course I love those. I have those. And then, let's see, I didn't do the Nature's Prints, so I do have a few more to show you that I did. Anyway, so in a minute I'm going to show you how I use this wreath that's in this bundle and the leaf. It's called the Nature's Prints. It's part of the Sun Prints bundle, and it's on page 91. I knew I was forgetting something. And this is the Happiness Abounds bundle, and like I said, it has designer series paper, and the dies that come with the set will exactly cut out the flowers. So that's what you're seeing in a lot of the sample, is they die cut the flowers of the paper with the dies. And then the Poppy Moments is on page 173. And again, I said those are good to go without even a stamp set. And then, of course, the embossing folders, which is sometimes I gotta have them all, on page 176 and 77. And so here's the, if it has a little N, that means it's new. So there's the painted posies, and here's the quatrefoil tile that I use. Oops. So let me go back and show the other cards I did with more products. Maybe they're up here with my stack of cards. So these were my first two that I showed in my first video of alternates. Then I made these and these and these. Oh, here they are, right here beside me, ready to go. So this uses that Nature's Print bundle that I was telling you about. I also use the cascading embossing folder. And this is a retired stamp set that I had that I just like the solid image of it. So back when I had you cut your envelopes for, let me get it out, for this card, if you're following my alternates, so we cut it at 4 1/8, your envelopes this way, and then we took 3/4 of an inch off. So if you take 3 of those off, you're left with this piece, which is, let me measure that. I think I have it on one of the cards, but not this one. 3 1/4 by 4 3/8. So that leaves your envelope paper 3 by 4 1/8, because that's how high we cut it. So you'll have one of each color, and I do like I said, make some avid cards other than just paper pumpkin using this material. The ones using stuff from the kit, the ones that we'll do in class are these. And this is just a more avid card that I made with that. Okay, so the next card, now this is kind of funny because this was a total mistake. I had my bigger piece of envelope paper after I'd cut the 3/4 of an inch off, and well, actually I had 2 off, and I went to cut my third, and I had it turn the wrong way. So I didn't want this piece to go to waste, so it actually worked out to be a good bottom layer. And this is, I think it's a Starry Sky. I get confused between that and the orchid, but it looks like Starry Sky. And I use the Summer Shadows stamp set on that. So sometimes I like to use, for sure, things that I know I've done as class before for my class participants, so that they will use products they have in there that they've collected over the years through my classes. So that's my alternates for today, and y'all know how to put on dimensionals and adhesive, so I will finish that after the video. And then here are my flower cards again, And obviously one disappears. It went in first over here. So I hope you like these alternates, and I guess I can take that out so the camera doesn't shine. These are more alternates I've made with the May 2022 Paper Pumpkin Kit. So if you are not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber and would like to subscribe, I would appreciate if you'd use me as your demonstrator. And one perk that my class members get is they each get a sleeve. This is last month's, to put their stamp sets in. And then they get the 1-inch square coordinating cardstock to go on their ink spot. And then you will also receive my PDF, which has pictures and directions of how to make all of these alternates. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. If you missed any of these other cards that I showed, be sure and go to my channel. And if you click on the videos, it'll show all my videos. And I also have one of how to get your dies lined up more in the center. That's a favorite tip of mine. And other fun tips along the way for making your paper crafts. So have a great day. Thanks for joining me. Again, if you're new, please subscribe below. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Have a great day.